And we also need gaming journalists who will not endorse or approve of a lynch mob actively going after someone to silence their opinion, no matter how disgusting that opinion may be to you or to me. They have a right to that opinion just as much as Anita Sarkeesian has a right to her opinion. When the person that made the Beat Up Anita Sarkeesian Flash game made that game, it is no different than when Sinead O'Connor went on Saturday Night Live during performance, completely impromptu, took out a picture of the Pope and tore it in half, making a statement saying,
"We will win. We have confidence in the victory of good over evil. Fight the real enemy."
And Sinead O'Connor received a lot of grief from it, from people within the Catholic community. But you know who she did not receive grief from? The journalists who reported on it. They remained completely and utterly unbiased. They reported on the facts and the facts alone. And that is what we need to do as a gaming community. And that's what they need to do as gaming journalists. They need to be journalists.
You know, there are some words I've known since I was a schoolboy. With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censored, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. Those words were uttered by Judge Aaron Satie as wisdom and warning. The first time any man's freedom is trodden on, we're all damaged.
Hello, I'm Templar Gamer, the editor of this video. After letting Bill talk about gaming journalism and all the things they have gotten away with, I've decided now is as good a time as any to speak my piece. I've noticed two things that crop up in all of these situations. Number one is that any dissenting opinions are either attempted to be ignored, they are strawmanned, or they are misrepresented. Eli Simet wrote a piece for Blistered Thumbs over a year ago titled Faction, the Game's Press and the New Truth. In it, he argued that the gaming press's parroting of opinions passed off as facts will not only replace the objectiveness of facts and figures with truth determined by number of peers, but also discourage people from verifying the truth. As he puts it, after all, if the most authoritative sources of news delivery all corroborate the same view of a particular story, who is to say it isn't the story? In essence, the gaming journalists go from reporters of facts to the Ministry of Truth. This is why Jim Sterling blocks Instag8ive Journalism when he makes a video criticizing the practices of the gaming industry, and why Colin Moriarty and Bob Chipman keep saying that the people who didn't like Mass Effect 3's ending were entitled brats when they were demanding that the developers keep their promises to the fan base that were very clear on what they wanted to do, they being the game developers. 2. The amount of time the gaming press spends on any one subject seems to be a very limited amount. And by limited amount, I don't mean the amount as in an actual predetermined amount of time spent talking about a particular issue, like say 30 minutes. I mean amount as in the time it takes to go from new thoughts to copy pasta of arguments and discussions. Now, to better understand this mentality, we need to understand the meaning behind the phrase, the drive-by media. The phrase was coined by conservative talk show host Rush Limbaugh. He describes the phrase as follows. It's like a drive-by shooter, except the microphones are the guns, and they drive into groups of people. They report a bunch of totally wrong, libelous stuff about people. They create a giant mess. Sometimes people get really harmed. They go out and try to destroy people's careers. Then they get in the convertible, head down the road, and do it all over again, while people like you and me are left to clean up the mess with the truth. Now, whether you agree or disagree with Rush Limbaugh's opinions and political beliefs, I believe that the phrase is definitely applicable to our current situation with gaming journalism. To use two examples out of many that could be cited as evidence of what I've just described, Colin Moriarty tried to paint the entire retake Mass Effect 3 movement as entitled brats for complaining about the DLC and by saying that the retakers claimed ownership of Mass Effect's IP, ignoring that the game was glitchy at launch, had day one DLC on the disc that costed $15 for a 45-minute mission and a handful of conversations to fill in background information on the Protheans, and had an ending that contradicted the developers' promises. The other example of this type of character assassination comes from Jim Sterling. In his article titled Mysandry in Video Games, Oh Grow the Up on Gamefront, went into a 1,000-word-plus diatribe against the parody of Anita's project by drawing comparisons between Mysandry in video games and religious fundamentalists, along with white supremacists. What he didn't mention in that opinion piece is how the money being donated to the project by Indiegogo funders was going towards charities that work on developing treatments to ovarian, testicular, and lung cancers. In the name of sensationalism, ideology, and a quick buck, the gaming journalists have clearly shown they don't want to encourage actual debate about actual issues in gaming, and instead attempt to engage in character assassination. Well, I don't know about you, but I say enough is enough. We talk about the various cancers of gaming. From developers that release the same shit every year or streamline games to appeal to a broader audience, to fanboys that eat this pig slop up like fine caviar and white knight the companies 24/7. But you know what the real cancer is? It is the gaming journalists themselves. Their job is to actually ask the difficult questions. Why is it acceptable for us to act quote-unquote childish and troll-like against someone who is anti-gamer, but then it's not okay to use the same tactics against a woman who has clearly shown time and time again she can't form an argument, will strawman her way through everything, or a developer whose characters are some of the most reviled in video game history as of late? Why is it acceptable to completely casualize a game or completely shake up a franchise's focus just to appeal to a broader audience when it's been shown consistently to not really help it at all in terms of sales and only helps to accelerate its descent into mediocrity and failure? It is their job to be objective when it comes time to actually sit down and review a game, rather than base a review score on how much hype is behind the game in question and how much revenue the ads from said game will bring. The press is supposed to act as our immune system by informing us of the various ills in our society, be it political or otherwise. When it fails to do this and acts complicit in covering it up, it is no longer functioning properly, and the general population is left largely defenseless against the ills of the society in question. You may say that this is unimportant, that it doesn't matter as it is contained within this specific subculture. But if we allow the unimportant things in a subculture to go to shit, how can we be trusted to take care of the important things with regards to important issues that affect society as a whole?
So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Gaming has a severe case of cancer, and it is time to remove it, so that gaming can go back to being a normal, healthy body. It starts with the cancer, and it is gaming journalism. What Bill is proposing, and what I support, is not the end of gaming journalism as we know it. It is merely the seed for change. And as we all know,
change never comes without pain.